coming up to the beginning of a new year, and it's usually the time where people say, okay, here's my chance to lose some weight. Can't even go to gym, so forget that. You got to figure out a way to maybe add some more physical activity into your life. But that's probably that, and smoking whenever you hear of anyone who is thinking of a New Year's resolution. And I've been in the business long enough that I think, we hear the same things about losing weight. Until I saw this note from my next guest, Andrew Liu. He has created an app that helped him lose a lot of weight, and he hopes it does the same for you. Andrew, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, this is kind of cool. So your last name, am I saying it correctly? Liu?
Yes, L-U-U.
L-U-U. And the app is Luuze, L-U-U-Z-E, which plays well into losing weight. Take me back, though, to what was it, 2015, 2014? When did you decide you had to take charge of your life?
You know, it was when I first saw a photo. It was my son who was just 6 days old, and I was...
Oh, my gosh, you just got to the good part, Andrew. I wonder where Andrew went. Gord's going to try his best just to reestablish...
Hello?
Was there. Andrew, are you there?
Hi there. I'm sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. I said you were just getting to the good part. So your child is only 6 days old, and there's a picture of you. What does that picture reveal?
Yeah, and I was just so big. I was class 2 obese at the time, and my kid was so small. And I had life-threatening blood pressure. Actually, I was on 3 different blood medications, and I knew I had to change, but I struggled for years with, those fad diets and fitness programs like you were just saying.
Okay, so you knew that wasn't going to be the answer. How did you change things and make it work for you?
Yeah, I was an engineer, and I decided to look into it, and I realized that the reason why a lot of people gain weight is because they have what I call a damaged feedback loop. This feedback loop makes us overeat. And I decided, hey, I know how to fix feedback loops. I'm an engineer. So I focused on creating this feedback loop for myself. And I ended up losing 100 pounds. And even more importantly, I was able to keep it off.
Okay, I'm not an engineer, so describe the feedback loop. I sometimes think of a feedback loop in my head that just keeps going and going, but what's your feedback loop?
Yeah, so, people who are naturally thin, they have a really resilient feedback loop. When they eat, they get full when they've eaten enough calories, and then they don't gain weight. But for people who have what I call a damaged feedback loop, whether it's because of external factors or internal factors, they'll keep eating even though they've eaten enough. And they'll eat maybe even if they're full. And there are so many, external factors in our society with addictive foods and other things like that right now that hijack our feedback loop as well. And when our feedback loop is damaged, we start gaining weight. So when I realized that if I could fix this feedback loop, and I could create one that gives me if I could create something that allowed me to track my weight, allowed me to have this positive feedback loop to let me know if I was overeating or undereating, and then I reflected on whether or not I was doing that or well or not, I could start losing weight. And that's what I ended up doing. And slowly over time, I replaced my damaged feedback loop with this new feedback loop and ended up losing weight.
Describe the positive feedback loop. So it's an app. So am I looking at something on my phone that is sending me positive messages, or how does that work?
Yeah, so how Luuze works is that you weigh yourself daily, but as everybody knows who've weighed themselves in the past, the scale lies to us. If we've eaten something salty one day, we might see the scale go up 3 pounds or something from the day before. What my app does is it does a little bit of math to smooth it out such that you get an accurate measure of your weight. Once you get an accurate measure of your weight, then the virtual coach in the app then sends a note saying, hey, you have been losing weight 3 days in a row, 5 days in a row. Keep doing what you're doing. Or, hey, you've been gaining weight now. Reflect on what you've done in the past and what you did yesterday and try to make some changes. And these little micro changes helped me lose a bunch of weight. And as I told people about this feedback loop, it was really attractive to people because They didn't have to change their diets or go on crazy exercise routines. They instead just started reflecting on these habits and thinking about the trend, and they ended up losing weight themselves.
Yeah, you often hear people talk about I'm an emotional eater. So maybe if you're able to really look at why you are eating or drinking, we can't forget that, then maybe you're able to change what you're calling the feedback loop.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that a lot of the reasons why we overeat is that we're not mindful of those calories. And even on just a little bit of reflection at the end of the day, and reflection with some data as well, can really help a person say, you know what, I wanted to eat that because I needed to relieve my stress, or I was drinking because of that. But look at the impact that it has on my weight. I'm going to change that. And I know for me in my journey, as I was losing weight and I saw the numbers on the scale go down, that actually gave me a lot of confidence in my life. And being able to lose 100 pounds has given me a lot of that increased confidence and a lot of energy, right? That I don't need food or drink to, compensate for the stresses that are existing right now. And especially with COVID, there's a lot of people doing that. But I think that being able to be a bit more mindful will enable us to take control of our health.
Now, this wasn't a crazy weight loss. You didn't lose the 100 pounds in a month or anything like that, did you?
No, I didn't. And in fact, I actually lost it over a span of 3 years. And if you do the math on that, that's actually just 0.1 pounds a day. And you know what? Every single person out there has lost 0.1 pounds a day. And the fact that you do it slow, it actually enables us to really nail down the habits for weight loss, causing permanent weight loss. Usually, and when I did my research, everybody who tried to lose, 10 pounds in 2 weeks or something like that, they failed. And what I highly recommend is slow but sure. And the Luuze app does provide recommendations that are probably a bit slower than what other apps recommend, but slow is sure, at least for me.
Yeah. In those early days, though, you weren't doing any extra fitness or anything like this? This was just sort of getting a hold of your weight and why you ate what you ate when you ate it.
Exactly. When I was a new dad with my son keeping me up at night, the last thing I wanted to do was exercise, and I decided I had to find a lazier, simpler solution. So that's why I implemented this feedback loop. But the cool thing is that now that I have two kids, 3 and 5 years old, I actually now have the energy to maintain an exercise routine. And, exercise is great. Don't get me wrong. I recommend it. But for people who have struggled with weight loss, I think exercise often and the need to start exercise can often be an excuse that people use to not get started. But I want to say that you don't need exercise to get started and to start losing weight.
I like it. Luuze, Luuze. It is an app that Andrew Liu created, and he is the walking poster boy for this. Andrew, thanks so much for this.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
All right, bye now. I was just thinking, did I just lose him right there? Did I lose him? Okay, I'm getting lots of texts, and I would love to hear if you have tried any weight loss. And I like the fact, what did he say? When he lost it over 3 years, it worked out to 0.1 of a pound a day. And I think that's so important. If you didn't just gain this weight in 3 years or 2 months, or, you've gained it over many, many years. So expect it to be a long haul. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And I also like the fact that he wasn't pushing some kind of food that you had to eat, because you're not going to always eat that food for the rest of your life. Or maybe you are. Okay, it works for you. But most of those changes in what you're eating, don't like to call it diets, they don't last. So, I'm fortunate. Maybe I am naturally thin, but I also have had times when I've looked at my pictures and went, oh, I guess I make this cream tart in Christmas time. For some reason we call it a tortuni tart, but basically it's just whipping cream and a bit of coffee and almonds and coconut. I have got to watch myself around those. Hey Mario, what are your thoughts?
Hi there. Yeah, I was just interested of the last guest you had about that Lou app or the Luuze app. It was very interesting. Yeah, I'm in that class, trying to lose weight and everything. So, yeah, I just wanted to say, kudos, and I'm just starting to lose the weight as well, because I've struggled in the past, with all those fad diets, and now that I have a diet coach or whatever you want to call it, and they're putting me in on the right track,
Hey, Mario, so are you on a diet, or is your coach just trying to make sure you eat well for the rest of your life?
Both, trying to eat well for the rest of the rest of my life, and things like that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Mario, thanks for sharing your story. And it's Luuze, Luuze, if you want to check out the app. And it is that whole thing. When I looked at the site, it is more about figuring out, as he called it, the feedback loop. Why am I eating when I'm eating, and how is that impacting my weight? Because I think if you get down to a lot of weight issues, you scratch the surface and it's going to be tied to some emotion. Whatever it is, lots of young adults will tell you, I was bullied as a kid and the only comfort I found was food. So if you can start to figure out what's the source of that, I'd like to think, hey, and I am no expert. Maybe Bill is. Hey, Bill, what are your thoughts on diet?
Oh, diets are wonderful if you can stick to them. Now, we were having the annual chat this morning, my wife and I, about, okay, Christmas is over, let's go back on the diet. Which one will we go on? Here I am, right at this moment, sitting in the McDonald's parking lot. I was listening to your guy while I was devouring a double Big Mac, and I thought, okay, you're guilting me. So I downloaded his app already.
And I thought it looked okay. But you know what, Bill? Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong, or you shouldn't feel guilty as long as you're not showing up in the McDonald's for that same thing every day. My husband loves Harvey's, and he almost feels like he's fooling around on me if he ever has a Harvey's burger. But I think, we eat well, but every now and then, go ahead, have a Harvey's.
Fair enough. Diets do require discipline. You used to have an advertiser, LA Weight Loss. We did LA Weight Loss about 6 years ago. I lost 60 pounds. Those diets work. It's just staying on it and being faithful to it.
Hey, Bill, did LA Weight Loss, this was before my time, did you have to have certain food all the time? You had to buy their food?
No, they tried really hard to promote a lot of their dietary supplements and things like that. All we did was follow the diet in the book. Okay. We used only our own food. One of your colleagues there, actually, her and I became a spokesman for it because we both lost a ton of weight there. So,
well, you know what? That's the thing. It takes discipline. Bill, thanks so much. All right.
My pleasure. Yeah.
Enjoy that burger. Let's see here. I got a bunch. Since February 2020, I started hardcore keto as one caller knocked it. It works for me. Does it work for everyone? No. I'm down from 280 pounds to 210. 4 pant sizes, 3 shirt sizes. Good stuff. I was type 2 diabetic. I've reversed that. I'm in full remission. I had non-alcoholic fatty liver. That's gone. My depression, which was very bad, is gone. I actually saw the fog lift. I'm off all my meds. Do I miss any of the foods I used to eat? No. And you're right. It doesn't work for everyone, but if it works for this person and they can stay on it for the rest of their life, kudos to them. 403-974-8255. Before we switch topics here, you guys have sent in so many good texts that I want to share a few of them. Someone here says, I'm a big fan of the feedback loop concept. We get feedback from our colleagues on our work or coaches on our sports play. Why not the same for our health? Yeah, and I'd like to probably practice that feedback loop, but as I said in the interview, I think sometimes you get a negative feedback loop in your head. So if this is a way of looking at it and saying, okay, this kind of works for me. Another one here says, what's the name of the app? Luuze, Luuze is the name of the app to check out. And he's on Twitter and YouTube and all those other places too, just so you can see. Let's see here. I want to make sure I'm getting the right text. Go to that page. One other one here. The last segment is exactly what I wanted to hear. I've been trying to eat slightly less every day for the last few months, and the gradual weight loss is working. Right. And it's just being mindful of that, isn't it? To recognize, why am I eating? How much am I eating? When have I had enough?